This Indiana, which the Monon has helped to build, is quite a place. It's a place that's fabled in story and in song. Monon intersects all the important east-west arteries in its part of the land and serves as a great railway bridge between Lake Michigan and the Ohio River. Monon is proud of its place on the railroad map, proud that it has helped the heart of America to grow and to prosper.
Just a little under 7 minutes till 200 of you become the first 200 people to run the Monon with the new section all the way to Indianapolis.
Tracks lie wholly within the borders of a single state, Indiana.
There used to be over 300 miles of railroad that stretched all across Indiana. The line was originally called the Chicago, Indianapolis, Louisville Railway, or CIL for short, but it had a nickname, the Monon. Monon is a word that comes from the Potawatomi Indians, and as the earliest pioneers could tell, the word meant swift running. Eventually, the railroad company adopted the nickname as its official title. The logo pays homage to the Potawatomi by placing an arrowhead above the letter M, which is short for Monon, but it also represents the teepees that the native people dwelled inside of. Eventually, the railroad business would go belly up, being sold and merged into other railroad companies. Large portions of the track were left to rot and return to the earth. For several years, the slowly fading rail lines served as a ghost of the past, a reminder that local communities used to be connected by a contraption that forced you to be a part of a group of strangers, dreamers, and whoever else hopped onto the train looking for work, a better life, or an adventure. A major function of the railroad was connecting young adults to local colleges. This was such an important function that the trains were painted in one of two color schemes. Freight trains were painted gold and black to represent Purdue and Depauw University, while passenger cars were painted cream and crimson to represent Wabash College and Indiana University. While the ways we connect with one another has changed throughout the years, our desire to connect has not gone anywhere. In fact, many people have pointed out that the desire to be in community has only grown stronger. In the 1980s, plans started being formed to convert the fading trails into multi-use paths to be used by families, walkers, bicyclists, runners, and any other outdoor adventurer. In 1999, the city purchased the railroad right away and opened the first 10 miles of newly paved trail. 33 years later, the Monon has turned into one of the most iconic rail trails in the United States. In 2025, a stretch of trail was added connecting yet another town in the north, making the trail officially a little longer than 31 miles. The perfect distance for a group of runners to go out and set a new course record, a new PR, or to win a bet with an overweight uncle that says, "We're gonna run how far? I've heard that's bad for your knees." Runners arrive early in the morning to a town called Sheridan. They gather inside of a local business that occupies a tiny lot in the middle of a downtown area that stretches for only a few blocks. This plot of land saw little to no development until the railroad showed up in the late 19th century. Local historians call the arrival of the train the spark that ignited an economic boom. In 1828, the first cabin was built here by a man named George Boxley as a refuge from bounty hunters. He was accused of leading a slave revolution in the South. He was jailed for this crime, but would eventually escape after his wife smuggled a saw into his cell.
Say, how about you taking a ride up and down the Monon?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go! Have fun out there, everybody. Enjoy yourselves. Thank you. Let's go, runners.
It's the shades of Indiana, where the sweetest flowers grow and the softest breezes blow.
The runners are headed to the south. Shortly after leaving the town limits of Sheridan, they get to experience one of God's greatest gifts, an Indiana sunrise. It is a surreal and peaceful moment for all of the ultramarathoners who are about to experience a tremendous amount of pain. But that's how gifts are typically packaged by the Creator. The lead runners come flying down the path and they cross through a former stop called Horton. The tracks here were removed and the line was abandoned in the early 1980s.
I don't need none, just 1v1, v1, v1. It's all on, all year, all night. It's all on to the sunlight. Opposition, I don't see none, just 1v1, v1, v1, v1. one. Right here, right now, right quick. I'm on a UFO, extraterrestrial trip. Come through stomping with my boots on, just to watch you freeze like the Yukon. Tell them run up, come catch.
As the magic of the sunrise is still fresh on their minds, runners enter their next town. Westfield was founded on May 6 in 1834 by a group of Quakers from North Carolina who were fleeing the slave economy of the South. Westfield remained relatively humble in size until a railroad depot was built and then another line running east to west called the Midland Trace crossed through town. On April 13, 1837, a small piece of land was surveyed and a new town was put into public records. The name of that town was Bethlehem, but when a post office was built in 1846, they changed the name to Carmel. The area started as a small fur trading post and eventually grew into a small farming village, but rapid growth happened after the Monon helped connect the village with other developing economies. The former train depot is now a museum that sits in the middle of a bustling downtown area focused on connecting the local community. The Monon being a central figure carving its way through town between local businesses, event centers, and regularly hosted community events like farmers markets every Saturday from May through September.
I'll see you guys in like 2.5 hours.
Hold it up, hold it up. Can't you hear the buzz? That's the money machine. Big stacks break off the whole team. When you hear the buzz, that's the money machine. Big name, all caps, long paper, tall green. Can't you hear the buzz? That's the money machine. Big stacks break off the whole team. When you hear the buzz.
During the 1820s, a key factor in determining the placement of Indianapolis was the White River. Developers were hopeful that communities could be built along the waterway and the economy would thrive off of freight and passengers being transported from port to port. Those dreams were quickly squashed in 1831 when a steamboat called General Hanna, that was owned by a military general named Robert Hanna, made its way into town. The arrival of this ship was a big deal. People gathered by the river to celebrate, but shortly after all of the celebration, the boat got stuck for 6 weeks in a river that was much too narrow and shallow to accommodate large freight. The dream of being a major port city was abandoned that day. The local papers would call this incident Hanna's Folly, and the White River was no longer viewed as a viable option for transporting cargo via large ships. The dream of being a large port city was abandoned that day. The state came up with another plan and started to build a canal system that would eventually be hundreds of miles long, but only 8 miles was built before an economic collapse and the arrival of the railroads. Runners cross over a small part of this canal as they make their way downtown, many of whom have surely had their own Hanna Follies at some point during training or in a race.
Hoosier time. We run this railroad right on Hoosier time. Hoosier time. Hoosier time.
These athletes, just like the dreamers that built the city, aren't stopped by plans going badly. They make an adjustment, shift the strategy, and they keep going. The original purpose of the path that these runners are headed down was to connect all of the communities in the state. The way that this goal has gone about being achieved has certainly changed, but the original intent has stayed the same. From failed steamboat operations, a canceled canal project, and a railroad system that was eventually dismantled. People did what they do best. They came together and pushed on, and now a group of 200 runners are near the end of their 50-kilometer journey. The spirit of perseverance is being channeled through them as they make their way to a finish line that for many of them is a new beginning. The same spirit that lifted intellectually curious teenagers off to college, ambitious entrepreneurs, and community leaders as they built their life around traveling up and down the Monon line is still alive today and being channeled through all of these race participants. The runners' rhythmic pace is like that of a train marching down the track as they glide along the trail. Family members wait to cheer for them as they complete the journey, just as friends, family, and businesses used to await for the train to come into town. The faint sound of a train whistle growing louder would be a signal to town that whatever they were waiting on had now arrived. Just like the sound of cowbells and people cheering signal to the racers that they have arrived at their destination.
Because it's Hoosier soil the Monon is grounded in. The Hoosier Commonwealth it has helped to build.
Have a nice trip up and down the Monon. All of us on the railroad hope you did. We hope you like this Monon country as much as we do.